is fixed now. I don't want to slam them, but it was just like merge them together and then the URLs all work. And and it's really difficult to find. And that's just something that if you're on the platform long enough, you're going to need to make some changes. And it's just really difficult, it seems like.
And the earlier point you made, I think, it's kind of about recognizing the place of the person at the time they made the post. So, that person may be a moderator now and they may have, 3,000 posts, reputation, if you have reputation, whatever it is. But at the time they made that post, they were in a different place. And you're right. It's something that, thinking about all the community platforms, obviously a lot of forums or communities have a post count, and people obviously game that and post short posts or post whatever. And it conveys a sense of authority that when you look at that old post again, it just says they have 5,000 posts now. It doesn't really recognize sort of where they were to use an industry term, people would say it was like the participation ladder, where they were in the ladder. But for members, it was kind of where they were in kind of their life cycle and process as a member.
The flip side of that is this person is no longer a moderator. Mm-hmm. And I have yet to find a good way to say they were a moderator when they wrote that post and it's official at that time. Mm-hmm. But now they are not. And so in my experience, you end up having to basically create a new user, shut the old admin user down or moderator user, and kind of start over if you still want to participate, because you want that old post to have that level that came with it, that person was, but now you don't.
Right.
And so it's an interesting problem.
The first use case that comes to mind is sort of what a lot of people would refer to as sticky threads or documentation or, important must-read type content that gets posted in online communities where, it's posted by the admin, and that's usually a person because it should be,
right.
In general, totally. It shouldn't be admin, it should be Joan or Sam or whatever, but there's no good way to say, okay, that person was an admin, or connect all the contacts associated with that to the private message link or the DMs or whatever it is. It'll still go to that person who has left the company and it'll be lost. So that's why you have to recreate that, because there's no good way to transfer kind of the ownership or however you want to look at it, but transfer the authority that was made when that post was current.
That's exactly right. I think it would be really interesting if a platform took this on and when that post was taken, they take a snapshot of the user. So those are associated, and you can still sort of track where the user is currently. But when they posted this, they were this kind of thing, whatever that is. They were an admin. They'd just gotten here, wherever on that life cycle they are, because it is a life cycle, right? And so just how do you do that? And it's a data problem. I'm a developer, and so I understand it's a very complex database problem, but it seems like something we can solve as an industry, and nobody's done it yet that I know of. I'd love to be wrong. Somebody write in and tell me I'm wrong.
Let's pause for a moment and talk about our great sponsor, Open Social. Open Social is the community platform for nonprofits looking to coordinate volunteers and bring together stakeholders at a grassroots level. Hosting over 1,000 active communities with Greenpeace, Greenwire, and several United Nations projects leading the way, Open Social has been proven to increase engagement within your community by up to 600%. Open Social is a Drupal-based open source solution offering 2 fully maintained and hosted subscriptions starting at just $110 a month, as well as a free do-it-yourself version. Request a free trial today at getopensocial.com. Co-creation is another area where you feel community platforms have fallen short. That's an area where I really haven't spent much time. I haven't spent much time in co-creation, but you haven't found a platform that allows a brand and its community to co-create well. What could they be doing better to sort of facilitate that interaction?
Yeah, and this is an interesting one because I think it's more in my previous role, which was at a large company, where you have this idea of you want to control your message somewhat, but you want your community to participate as well, and you want to work together. And what I've seen, it's either sort of like Lithium's platform has the tribal knowledge base, but it's very sort of like you either can write something or you can't. At least the last version I looked at. Mm-hmm. And Jive's model is similar. Discourse actually has a slightly better version of this, but it's just sort of this, if you are a user, do you have permission to write something? Do you have permission to suggest changes? Do you have permission to approve? So that whole workflow, which is sort of a knowledge-based workflow, but most knowledge bases are very internally focused. So, and a lot of the communities I've worked with are communities of practice at the end of the day, either communities of support or community of practice. And you want to create not necessarily just conversations, but documents or other things, but you want to have some sort of control over that. And so I think that's just sort of super interesting how do you make that work with a workflow